Hey there, this is Philip Shouse from every band you've ever heard of, and you're watching Metal from the Inside with Sydney Taylor.
You've tuned in to the most crazy rocking metal podcast on the air. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Metal from the Inside.
Sydney Taylor here. Welcome back to the Metal from the Inside podcast. This is really exciting because it's my first interview actually of 2022, which is really awesome. And super happy to have a very special guest on the show this week. He is a guitar player and he's played with so many different bands and the list goes on and on. Ace Frehley, Simmons, he has his own projects, his own entrepreneurial merchandise company, which is so crazy, which I want to get into. And yeah, so he just does a lot, and his name is Philip Shouse. Thank you so much for being here today, Philip. I really appreciate it.
Hey, my pleasure, Sydney. Thanks for having me on the show.
Yeah, so we saw each other recently, not really face-to-face, but kind of face-to-face at Accept at the Chance, and that was one of the only shows that you guys played this year.
Yeah.
We're back in 2021, which is crazy and so cool that I got to catch you guys on one of those, only two shows. So what was that like for you guys? Because I know that some shows got canceled, postponed, and you guys only had those two shows. So what was it like for you guys to be able to play those?
Oh, it was great. I'm supposed to be in Europe right now.
I know. I was going to ask you about that. I was like, the dates are starting, but I don't think that that's happening.
Yeah. So it was really good. We got to play a few shows last year, M3, and a few shows around that. And then we had the two in New York where we were, I saw you.
Right.
It was just good to knock the dust off kind of and do something. Our fingers are crossed for summer coming up. Festival season's coming up. We're scheduled to go over in May. So, we're just hoping for the best.
Right. And what's really interesting is I kind of want to get into it a little bit too about you joining the band, because I believe that's, one of kind of the newest ventures that you've done. You got asked to join the band in 2019, which was right before the pandemic. So you didn't really have a chance to play a ton of live shows with them before this all happened, right?
Yeah, we had, I did a few shows, and then we had, it was going to be recording the record and then having a big 2020, and then it all kind of went away.
Right.
We did record the record, but didn't get to really tour on it at all. I kind of came out, and then it was my fault. Sorry, everybody. It was me.
So how did it come to be that you joined the band? Because like you said, you do a lot of other different stuff. So it's like, you're doing a bunch of different projects, side gigs and stuff with Ace and Gene. So how did the opportunity come to be? And, how did you decide that, I got time for another project and, we're able to take this on? It's
Accept is pretty much a Nashville-based band now. Wolf has lived in the area since the early 90s. He was one of the first kind of, non-country guys to move here, like way before anybody did.
Right.
And one of my best friends, Christopher Williams, who's the drummer, he had gotten the gig back in 2015 or 16. And they needed a guitar player for Wolf's. He had a side thing with his classical project. So I did the Wacken part of that show. And in 2019, they were doing a tour, like a symphony tour of Europe and Eastern Europe. And they needed me for a fill-in. So I was just doing the gigs as a fill-in guitar player, not knowing that at the end of that was going to lead to me getting asked to be in the band, at which I said yes, because it really was a good fit. We got along on and off stage. The chemistry was really good all around. And I liked everybody, and apparently they liked me. And so it was a pretty easy decision to make.
Yeah, I know that you're, definitely a Kiss fan, which I want to get into your projects with them. But, joining those bands for you, you knew the music, you knew the people, you were fans of these guys for years. Were you an Accept fan to start, or did you just kind of know, like, Balls to the Wall and, the kind of hits?
I kind of knew the hits, and I kind of knew the bigger records, like the Balls record, Restless and Wild. I didn't super dive in deep with them, but I knew, because they were on my radar for years because, watching Headbangers Ball, as a kid, I remember that video coming on and the two white flying V's in sync with the moves and stuff. So yeah, they were totally ingrained in there. And we were covering I'd covered songs in different projects. So yeah, it is a trip, especially when it gets to the end of the show and doing the balls to the wall and doing the thing, the moves, everything. That's when it's like, this is really crazy, but no, it's fun. And it's a trip to get to play those songs with the guy or the guys that, made it happen.
Yeah, I have to say, I know shows had kind of come back by the time I saw you guys a little bit, and we're kind of now in this weird period where stuff's getting, postponed and canceled again, as as you're supposed to be in Europe right now. But I have to say that show was the first show back for me that it was like just really felt like an authentic, like heavy metal show. Like we were, it just did. I mean, I had gone to seated shows, but like the Omicron thing wasn't a thing yet, and we were kind of all like, okay, I was vaccinated, it was kind of just felt like normal times. Did it feel like that for you guys in a way?
Yeah, it always feels like a proper heavy metal show with us, because we've done a few here and there this past year, and we all on the same show, like regardless if we're a festival or a smaller club over here in the States, it doesn't matter. We're going to do the same exact thing. And when you get the stuff on, you walk out and you're squaring off and doing all the moves, which people don't really do all that anymore.
Right.
Which I'm very happy that we do that, because it's such it's a unique thing. It makes, it's like bands of that time. Like, Priest has their moves, Scorpions have their moves, Accept has their moves. So it always feels like that. It always feels like a proper show whenever we do it, because like I said, it's not, going through the motions and, how to stand in there looking at your feet. Right. It's a full-on show wherever we are, whatever country we're in.
Yeah, it's interesting that you say that, but because before I saw you guys, I brought my dad with me, and he's a big metal fan. And so I actually got him the Wacken show on DVD that was filmed for like Christmas or birthday. And it was really funny because we watched it before we saw you guys, and he was like, it's so crazy. He's like, they're going to be going from playing like to a crowd of 80,000 people to the Chance. And I was like, I know, but I mean, like you just said, I mean, it felt like I was in Germany, watching the show, which I feel like the ability to be able to command the stage like that, all of you, and make it feel like, I'm in a crowd of 80,000 people when I'm in a club that's, in upstate New York is just, it's the coolest. So I commend you guys for that. Honestly, it's awesome.
Yeah, thanks. That's serious. We have a lot of fun, but it's serious business, when you get down to it. And we want to do the same thing wherever we are and bring that feeling, the same feeling of, it's a proper show and, the metal spirit to wherever we're at.
Right. And so you guys released the record. You said it got postponed a little bit. And that was obviously the first recording that you did with them. What was the writing process like for that? Because, of course, it wasn't released until, I believe, January of last year, so about a year ago. Was it during the pandemic? Was it all remote? Did you guys have a chance to get together before everything kind of went down?
The writing, I didn't have anything on this one. And it was just because of me. I didn't have anything I wanted to present, anything good enough. So as far as the recording went, we did do it during spring and summer, I think, of 2020. We kind of got a lot of it done before everything locked down and after. I was able to go to Wolf's and be with the guys. And so we could be in a room together. And also with our producer, Andy Sneap, he was in England. So he was also there on pretty much, like we're talking right now. But he did have it dialed in somehow where he could hear the tracking as we were recording. So he could produce, he was in the virtual room with us. So it was really great. I mean, it was fun doing that. I'm very glad it was that situation and not a remote situation, because I'm sitting there doing guitar tracks with Wolf Hoffman and Andy Sneap. It's like, those guys know how to make a good heavy metal record. So I was pretty much just trying to execute what they were suggesting as best as I could. So no, it was really, really fun. I'm proud of it. The whole band is proud of it. I'm really happy with the record, and still tickled when I look in I'm in the gatefold, so it's so funny to me.
No, it's a great record, and I mean, it definitely kind of like the
Thank
show
you.
that we just talked about. Yeah, it's got that authentic accept vibe to it. It's, a good heavy metal record. It's got the sound, obviously
Mhm.
with a modern twist because, it is modern, but
Yeah, sure.
like Overnight Sensation, you could have put that on, the Balls to the Wall record, and it would have nobody would have, blinked an eye. So
That
it's
was the first one. That was the first one I heard of
okay,
demos. And it was
cool.
just kind of like, oh man, this is because I love it because bands of that time, like, that late 70s Priest, late 70s Scorpions, they had a lot of rock and roll swagger, like still had a lot of elbow, a lot of, that.
Right.
It wasn't just, that, which is some sort of new metal. It had a swing and you could kind of almost dance to some of it.
Yeah.
And when I heard Overnight, that was the first one. I'm like, oh man, this is fantastic. It made me so happy, and the chorus is great. You can shake your ass to it, which is rare with a lot of metal these days. So yeah, they still have that element that I love.
Yeah, it's melodic, like Accept has always been. It's got the heaviness to it, but it has the melody and it has,
Mhm.
Princess of the Dawn. It's got that kind of energy to it. It really is a great record. So if anybody watching has not picked it up yet, I highly recommend that you do that. And stay tuned for whatever dates you guys have coming up, hopefully in the near future. Because did these Europe dates get postponed or were they just canceled?
Postponed to 2023 as far as the ones that were happening this month and next month. So yeah, 2023, fingers crossed for that. And then more fingers crossed for May in the summer schedule. So
I want to bring up, it's interesting that you mentioned that Wolf lives in Nashville now. I feel like Nashville has become, at least from what I've seen, I have a lot of friends that, are in the rock and metal world. And it's funny because when you think of Nashville, you think of like country and the Grand Ole Opry. And the most musicians that I know who live in Nashville are like hard rock and metal musicians. All right. I mean, you can attest to that, I'm sure.
yeah, I've been here almost 18 years now. And even when I moved here back in 2004, it was, I looked like this. I played like I play, and I started to get country work because they were kind of looking for longer hair, like, more rock looking Skinner gunslinger type guys. And that's my wheelhouse really, is that kind of stuff. So I started working that way, with like this, looking like this. And I remember playing the Grand Ole Opry, and I was the odd man out at that point. It was really strange. Now you got guys with Liberty spikes, playing the Grand Ole Opry, and at that point I was more like Merle. Like compared to that, I'm like Merle Haggard compared to what's going on now. It's changed so much, and with like Lower Broadway's where all the honky tonks and the tourist section is. Like when I moved in there was still mainly country, and so I couldn't really play down there for any gigs. So I didn't know the stuff. Now it's like just bad Bon Jovi and Journey covers down there. Like only like one bar does traditional country stuff. It's totally different. And it's because of people moving here. I had a weekly show for a while called the Rock and Roll Residency.
Right.
And we hosted all kinds of people that lived here. All the guys, Rachel from Skid Row lives here. Kiplinger lives here. Damon Johnson lives here. We were having all those guys. Derek St. Holmes lives here. All those guys were guests. I'm sure I'm missing somebody. And then we'd host people coming into town. We had the guys from Cheap Trick there, Alice Cooper, Roger Nunn from Deep Purple played. We had all these people because there's so much happening in the town now.
Yeah.
This just wasn't here in 2005, or 2004. So it's totally different. It's like an entertainment town now than just a country. I mean, country is always going to be kind of king because of Music Row, and it's kind of based on that. But country is now, encompasses a lot of ground. You can just do a lot of kind of music, and it's like, that's country. Well, it doesn't sound like country to me. Well, it's country. It's a very broad description of country music now.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Like I had Ace Von Johnson on the podcast a little bit ago, and he just moved to Nashville. And I know more people now who live in Nashville than I do who live in LA, which is really it's interesting that the kind of twist, because you think of LA, it's like, oh, the Sunset Strip, that's where heavy metal and hard rock lived, and now
they've all moved here now.
It's all to Nashville. And I mean, honestly, I've heard really good things. I'm sure that it's great. You've lived there for 18 years now. So, if it was
Mhm.
if it was like, yeah, I got to get out of here, he probably would have done it by now. But
Yeah. But no, all the LA people are moving here.
yeah, it's
That's why everybody's leaving. No, it's a great spot. Cost of living is gone up considerably here, but it still is cheaper than most cities, and all the music's here. There's
Yeah.
studio. I mean, you don't really need a studio anymore. You can record at your house. So, but no, it's a good place. I'll be here until I guess I retire at the beach or something, I suppose.
You mentioned the Rock and Roll Residency in Alice Cooper, which is a good tie into the tour that you did with Ace back in the fall, which was kind of, again, one of the first tours, I believe, that you did coming out of the pandemic, correct?
The first one. I had done a couple shows, but that was the first actual, for real tour.
What was that like with, I read some stuff, and I know a lot of people in the Alice camp, so I kind of had heard a little bit of what it was like, kind of behind the scenes, but I'm sure that was a little intense with like rigorous testing and, making sure that everything was kind of locked down and ready to go for, the pandemic and everything. So what was that like for you guys to kind of go through that?
It was different. It was still great fun because we were all out, and it was a great tour, and it was just like good to do it again. But yeah, especially towards the end of it, because we were having like, a few shows, a week left. And we're like, we're going to do this. Cause that was the big thing. Nobody was doing it. Nobody could make it through a tour.
Right.
And we had 5 weeks, which is 25 shows in 5 weeks. So it was a good schedule. It was pretty much locked down backstage. To get backstage, you had to be immediate family or, girlfriend, wife, kid. It definitely wasn't no meet and greets. There was none of those, no visitors. But to get back, you had to have a PCR test, be vaccinated, and get a test on site. So it was many hoops to go through to get backstage, which is how it had to be. And we really kind of didn't go out as much as we normally do, like on days off. You got to go out and get food, but we kind of kept that under control. And backstage, it was masks on unless you were in your dressing room, on your bus, or on stage.
Right.
So it was lockdown, but like when we got to the end of it, and in Tupelo, Mississippi was our last show, and it was like, we did it, and it was a lot. I mean, we did what we had to do, but it was a lot of luck because I know a lot of camps who were doing all the same things we were, and it, you can't. You have to go in the truck stops. You have to go into gas stations. You have to go into restaurants. There's no way you can be totally isolated. We're on this kind of a tour. We're not the Rolling Stones. We're not like being chartered everywhere. We're not that way. You have to be around people. So it was everybody doing their part, but a big part of it was luck too. And just, I don't really believe in luck, but I think it definitely helped us out on this one.
Yeah, it was quite amazing to, see you guys get through it. And like you mentioned, I saw a lot of tours go down, and even lately, before kind of the variant thing happened, I've seen tours go down, and it's like you said, totally kind of a luck thing, but also, luck, but also, like you said, taking the proper precautions and making sure that, you're doing what you can to, lessen the contact. It's funny, I saw Alice, he's like my number one, he's like my favorite dude. I saw him on the first night of the tour, and I was so bummed because I got tickets, and it was the one night that you guys weren't with him. And I was like,
oh yeah, that's right. New Jersey, Atlantic City.
Yeah,
that's right.
One night. And I was like, man. But no, from what I heard, I had a bunch of, I have friends who went to the different shows, and it was it's a really cool bill. I mean, you kind of had both, kind of like shock rock legends there, and it seemed just like a lot of fun. To the same kind of era music. Same, genre, same kind of, theatrical aspects that, go hand in hand with Ace. So I'm sure that was a lot of fun for you guys too, to just be back.
It was. I would have bought a ticket to that show. I mean, it was that, we're talking about the bill. It was such a good bill together. And yeah, it was great fun for us. We knew a lot of the band, Alice's band, before the tour. So it was like we already had kind of friends there, and then met the rest of them. And Alice and Cheryl were fantastic to us, and his crew is top notch. And so, yeah, it was really, really, really fun. And we all really felt a sense of accomplishment when we got to the end of it. And we were just like, we could really, there was no back padding before that. Trust me, we were like, nope, don't jinx it. We got to wait. But we were all very, very relieved. And yeah, it was great. We had a great time.
Yeah, I can't imagine what it's like for you as a Kiss fan prior to, joining. And you're in both bands, which is so crazy. You're in Gene and Ace's band, which is like, wow, as a Kiss fan, that's crazy. I mean, for you, I've heard the story before, but if you wanted to share it again, how you got into Kiss, because I know that, you kind of got into them a little bit later, if I'm correct. And so, how did you find Kiss, and, how did that kind of evolve for you as a fan? And B, how does it feel for you as a fan to be able to play with 2, out of the 4 original members, which is just insane.
Yeah. How I got into them, you're correct. It was kind of late. I was in early high school. It was in the early 90s. And which at that time, it wasn't really cool to be a Kiss fan. And I had a friend, Brad McWhorter, in high school that had the Kiss pinball machine then.
Wow.
So he was kind of ahead of the curve on that. He's a huge fan. So I was always curious about them. So I had to make me a mixtape of, I was like, focus on the makeup stuff, but put some of the whole thing. So he made it for me. And the first thing on the tape was Deuce off of Alive. Nice. And it really just hit. And I'd never heard that. I guess I'd heard Rock and Roll All Night, I guess was it. I really didn't know anything else. So that hit, and like the explosion started. I thought my room was on fire. Like, this is insane. And I just got it. It just all hit, and I understood it. And then when the guitar solo happened, I'd never heard it before, but it sounded familiar. And I realized it was what I was learning in guitar lessons. It's like, that's the minor pentatonic scale. It's like, oh, that's what that is. Because I've been a year or two into guitar lessons and really frustrated because I can't figure out how to make this thing into music.
Right.
These scale patterns. Ace showed me how to do that. And he really taught me how to play lead guitar because I didn't know how to do that before. It didn't make any sense to me. And I just got it. And from that moment on, I went from like not knowing about them really, and then to being like an obsessed fan. Like, I just got all of it. And I never stopped doing that. I kept being an obsessive fan. And Ryan and Jeremy, my bandmates from Ace and Gene's band, we were best friends, before all this stuff. And we're friends because of Kiss. So the fact that like the 3 of us went from this and then into being in Gene's and Ace's band now, it's like it makes so much sense. It doesn't make any sense at all, is how I put it. It's like, this stuff doesn't happen, but it does happen. You know what I mean? It's just, it's crazy.
No, that's insane. That's so crazy. Like, I just think about it, and as a fan of music myself, to be able to not only, I mean, of course, you're still a fan in a sense, because that'll never really leave you, even if you know them personally or whatever, but you get to look at them now as also, they're a real person, and somebody that you're friends with and that personally, and their, some of their family and their life. And like, I guess that just must be crazy to kind of, if you could go back and tell your, self in the early 90s that this is where you'd be like, holy shit, right? It's like,
yeah, it's like, when in a few years, you're going to email Gene something funny because you think he'd think it's funny, which is crazy.
So you played with Gene first, if I'm correct.
Yes.
All right, cool.
Yeah, that was, we did Gene's band in 2017. And that's when we started in 17.
So what was the transition like for you to, play obviously with Gene and then kind of move into playing with Ace? So you're playing, obviously you're kind of the same guys, so you kind of have that musical chemistry, no matter which one you're playing with, but, you're playing with one member and then, you kind of switch gears and then play with another. So, were there styles of doing things a little bit different? Did it take a little bit of time for you guys to, I know that they are, but musically, was it a little bit difficult for you guys to adjust to kind of the way that each of them do it?
Not really difficult. My main thing was an instrument switch, guitar with Gene, and then I play bass for Ace. Right. But apart from that, when they're talking about those two guys as individuals, Ryan Cook puts it the best way. The only thing those two guys have in common is they were in the same band together. They are completely like opposites. And I've heard, and I know that you add Peter and Paul in there, and if you can have four opposites, you have four opposites in that band. So it's pretty amazing. But no, it actually kind of overlapped because we were in Gene's band, and then we did a tour of Australia, and where Ace played also, and we backed both of them up. And then so it kind of overlapped, and then that was over, and then after that we were Ace's band. So it was kind of a smooth transition that way. And then not really. It was just kind of it's different traveling because with Gene, we were it. We didn't have crew. We were the traveling party, the 4 band members and Gene. So the 5 of us traveled everywhere, and we saw him all the time. We were with him all the time. With Ace, we don't really see him until we're on stage or right before we play. That's the main difference, really, is we were with Gene like all the time.
Right. It's interesting. Like you said, it's definitely they're very different guys. Even as a fan, I mean, they really all 4 of them are very, very different. And I find it really interesting, also too, kind of the lineage of the band and, everything that they've gone through. And, they haven't always been the best of friends during everything. And, naturally, as you do when you've known somebody for, 50 years, but so it's interesting that, they have now come to a point in their career where they're able to share the same band and, kind of figure out schedules and all that stuff. So that's also something I think about too when I think about the both of them.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun in Australia seeing the 2 of those guys interact, and they were really good. They were getting along well, and the shows were fun. Ace came out at the end of our show and we played together, and that was always a lot of fun. But walking through airports, like behind them was, and like they're both showing. Gene's got his phone out, showing him something on YouTube or something. He's sitting in an airport lounge and just seeing us like,
huh?
This is nuts. That was when I think me and the rest of the guys, that was when we were really like, what? How are we here watching this? But that was always a lot of fun.
No, it definitely, it sounds like it, especially for a fan. And I know that you do a lot of other kind of side projects that involve the band as well. And I know that you just released, I believe yesterday, a vinyl from the Car Jam, which is, you do 2 Eric Carr songs and 2 Kiss songs. And that was Eric Carr. It is an Eric Carr based charity that I believe you guys started sometime last year. So tell me a little bit about that, starting that in general, and kind of what made you guys decide to want to do vinyl of some songs.
Yeah, that I am only a guest on that. That was entirely organized by a Swedish friend named Jesper Lindgren, and he and Gustav Kronfeldt. I'm trying to get better on my pronunciation. Those 2 guys pretty much masterminded the whole thing. Gustav played bass on the project and was one of the graphic designers of the project. And if you've seen any of the print ads or the movies they put together, everything is so well put together on this. No, I was pretty much just asked to be part of that. Played on 2 of the songs, but it's me, Dragan, Ryan Roxy's on it from Alice's band. Who else we have? Jesper Binzer from DAD. And it's a pretty much kind of like all-star Scandinavian lineup put together. And I was happy to do it because I've been back and forth from there a lot, and I'm getting to know some more musicians over there. So I was glad to do it. And the songs came out great, and the packaging is absolutely incredible. You can actually order the vinyls out for sale now, and it's full of stuff that Kiss fans like. Like there's tons of extra stuff in the vinyl, and so yeah, it's really, really great. It came out very cool. There may be another one of those. I think Jesper's talking about doing one of those. So yeah, it just came out yesterday actually. So
yeah, I saw the promo that you reshared. And it really was put together so well. That commercial that they did for it looked like you could have seen it on, like TV, like late at night, in the 70s. Like it was really well put together.
Yeah, it feels, even the vinyl and the look of it, the cover, the gatefold, everything in it feels like that stuff. They really did a good job of capturing the vibe and everything involving this, the look and the sound and the feel of it. They did a great job.
Yeah, was the production or with the release of that delayed at all? Because I know that with vinyl right now, things are just insane. Like the delays have been wild. So was that an issue at all for that?
I don't know. I know that their release show has had to be postponed until March. They had something scheduled for, I think it was tonight or last night,
Okay.
January 7th. I know that was pushed back. I'm not sure if it was delayed, the vinyl, because, yeah, I've heard the same horror stories about, processing plants being backed up. So
Definitely, if you're a Kiss fan and you're watching this, please go check that out. It's super cool. Phil posted a little promo on his Instagram, so you can go ahead and check that out.
Mhm.
I want to talk a little bit too with you about the merchandise company that you have, Mutt Merch, which is it's got such really cool stuff. I see where the shirts are, other interviews, and Instagram. You got really cool designs. Mixing classic rock with like dogs and kind of pet themed stuff, which is right up my alley, and any dog lover, which lots of them that watch this, lots of dog lovers are rock fans. So what was the idea, or where did the idea come from for doing that? Because it's kind of a little bit off of what you do. You're mostly a musician, you tour, recording. So what led you to the idea of wanting to start a merchandise company?
I've always liked it when I read about a musician that had another business. I thought that was very, very cool. Gene, obviously, is the king of that. And so he was kind of the first one. Ian Anderson from Jethro Tull is in fisheries. There's all kinds of people now that are doing it, but, there wasn't too many. Gene was kind of the pioneer, I think, of all that stuff. And it was just I'm trying to think where it came from. It was just kind of, I think, sitting around one night and thinking about dog puns with bands, we're like, oh, fed for the Beagles, the easy one, the Beagles, and then it kind of kept on going. Bones and Noses. Okay, what's one for Aerosmith? Oh, so Aerosmith, and it just came from that. And I started looking at it, and there was nobody doing it. There's a few shirts, like, if you made the Beagle shirt, but there was nobody really doing it. And, spoof and parody shirts, you're not really infringing on copyright. There's a lot of gray area there. And I'm like, well, this could be fun. I'll try it, to get it shut down. So had a couple designs made with a designer here, and they were hilarious, and started trying to get some things going on. And now I've got more than just T-shirts. So I make there's dog T-shirts and human T-shirts, so you can match, which is very important.
I love that. That's so important.
Yeah. And now you can there's pet bowls I have, and collars and some coffee mugs and things like that. Everything's at muttmerch.com, and there is an Etsy store as well. But yeah, it's just fun. And that's what I was doing in 2020 home. I was kind of revamping the website and just kind of building on that so I could, make a push. And it's going to end up being probably, this year, making some big pushes and improvements to the website still, and always changing, always trying to find a way to reach new people and things like that. So yeah, by all means, Merch, muttmerch.com.
Yeah, Black Labeth is my favorite.
That's been one of our biggest hits for sure. That one's great.
It's really cool. I mean, like I said, I don't think I've ever seen anybody, do anything like that. You see parody shirts kind of all the time, but not really, dog based. And like I said, a lot of, at least I've found, and I'm sure you obviously have found as well, a lot of rock fans are really big animal lovers. I mean, it's funny, metal fans always have this conception around them that we're like mean and evil, but, we're really nice and we love dogs. So, I mean, you might as well do a merch company for them. So it's awesome. I definitely highly recommend checking it out if you haven't checked it out already.
There's so many cat metal guys now. It's like all the metal guys with Rob Halford's and the corpse grinder guy is a cat guy. And it's just funny when all these big evil guys are sitting there with their cats with like Sir Twinkletoes.
Right.
It's great.
I mean, it's funny. I mean, it's like all, these, burly, metal guys who, sing really heavy stuff, or, their lyrics are crazy. They always looked at like, they're like evil, or, behind the scenes, they've got a cat or like a dog that they dress up and, make a birthday cake for and all this stuff. So
Yeah, it's about time that stigma went away of
I
metal
know.
guys. It's just, we're just people,
Man, but yeah, that's really awesome. Definitely check that out if you haven't already. If you're watching this on Mutt merch, like Philip said, yeah, it's really cool. And I mean, like I said, it must be a little bit different, and it must be kind of almost in a weird way, a nice change of pace when you're working on that stuff, because I mean, you're kind of in this mindset a lot of the time of playing and recording and with your various projects, but sometimes it might be nice to kind of get out of that mode and kind of go into something a little bit different.
Yeah, and it's something I can maintain while traveling too, because I don't do any of the packaging and shipping myself. It's like it's done for me, so I can maintain and keep track of orders on the road. So it's easy to maintain both.
So all in all, I mean, do you have anything else coming up, fairly recently? I mean, I know, like we mentioned, a lot of stuff, touring has kind of, got postponed or canceled. So you're a little bit stuck on that front at the moment, but do you have anything else coming up soon?
I have a couple things around here. We're doing another residency show, possibly the last one at the end of February.
Wow.
But then the next weekend, we start back with Ace. So we'll be back with Ace in March and April. And then I'm crossing my fingers for May. So, yeah. And some other things, too, that are very, very, very early and I cannot speak about yet. But yeah.
Cool. I mean, so it's going to be the last residency show?
Possibly. It's just we're gone. And I don't know. It's just like every one of those shows is a lot of work.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of cool with not doing that anymore. So we're doing it as a send off to the two things. The club that we played the last couple of years, it's closing in May, and our good friend John Bruton, who was the booker there, who we've known for way longer than that show's been going on, he's retiring after the club closes. So we're kind of doing it as a send off to the Mercy Lounge and to our good friend John. So doing that, which is, it'll be fun to do that again, see it, because I rarely see all the people that were part of that, so it'll be good to see everybody again and do a gig. And then I think the next weekend we're back out with Ace. So
Right. And I mean, even if you kind of send it off now, I mean, you could always, if you wanted to and you felt like you were called to do it again, there's nothing stopping you guys from doing a one-off show here and there and kind of bringing it back. So nothing's set in stone in that realm. Exactly.
If somebody comes and offers us $25,000 to do a show, we will definitely do that show.
Heard it here first, folks. There's no never say never.
Exactly. Everybody has a price.
Well, this was so great. Thank you so much for taking the time to come on the podcast. Like I said, it was such a blast to see you and accept at the chance. It was kind of my last, I think it was the last show I went to kind of before everything started to, plummet a little bit, unfortunately. But it was a blast to see you guys there, and I'm hoping to see you again. Like you said, fingers crossed, maybe with Ace or with Accept again in the summer.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much. And everybody, please go check out Philip on social media. He's on Twitter, Instagram, I believe. Do you have your own website as well, other than Mutt Merch? Or?
I think I have philipshouse.com, but it takes you to Mutt Merch. It directs you to that. Yeah, that's my main web store. So.
All right, cool. And go ahead and check him out to stay up to date with Accept and, of course, Ace Frehley and Gene Simmons, as well as everything that he's doing with the Talesmen, of course. Thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it, Philip.
Yeah, absolutely, Cindy. Thank you very much.